Probably the most common mistake made by novice drivers when entering a highway, adapting to the speed of traffic. And in most cases, that means going too slow when the traffic is at full speed. So how fast do we enter? It depends on the speed of traffic. During rush hour, it can almost come to a complete stop, and at normal hours, usually traffic is at full speed. So how do we adapt our speed? Simple, it's a visual thing. We look at the speed of the vehicles on the highway, but we must not do it at the last moment just before entering. We look from far, then we look again just before merging. Even on elevated highways such as this one, where the concrete wall is blocking our view, we can get an idea of the speed by looking at the trucks. From far, then from a bit closer just before merging. Then, when possible, we change lanes to the left because most of the time the merging lane will end. In most cases, this is indicated by arrows like this one and the panel indicating the end of the right lane. If you're driving on a highway where there's 3 or more lanes, you shouldn't stay in the far right or far left lane. If possible, change to one of the middle lanes. If there are just 2 lanes, you should drive on the right. On the highway, the left lane is reserved for overtaking and for the rare times when there is an exit on the left. It's also the fast lane. So even if we're not supposed to stay on it, some people do to drive at higher speeds. And since the right lane is the entry lane, we want to free it up as much as possible to make it easier for those who are entering. Which brings us to the next tip. At highway entrances, there's almost always a full line on the side of the vehicles that are already on the highway, which means that vehicles on the right lane, meaning those who enter, may change to the left, but the vehicles in the left lane can't change lanes right so that they don't block the ones who are entering. At exits, there are also solid lines to prevent people from changing lanes at the last second, which could be dangerous. So, pay attention to lines when nearing entries and exits. The red and blue icon indicates the highway number, 520 in this case, and the orange shape indicates the number and direction of the exit, which in this case is to the right. To the right, we have the distance from here to the exit. The arrows below the panel indicate the lanes in which we have to be in order to follow in the direction of those places. A yellow bar that covers the bottom of the panel indicates that the lane pointed by the arrow is reserved for exiting the highway. So in this case, if we don't want to exit, we have to change lanes. When approaching a tunnel, you will almost always see this panel, or this panel in the United States, which means it is forbidden to enter the tunnel when transporting hazardous materials. You should never follow trucks too closely, and one of the reasons why on the highway is that they're gonna hide the panel. Another thing you should be careful of when exiting a highway, speed, and mainly for 2 reasons. Often, highway exits are very sharp turns, and because novice drivers tend to look in front when turning and not at the turn itself, there's the risk of going too wide. So make sure you don't look in front when you're turning, but at the turn itself. And 2, in almost all cases when exiting a highway, the speed decreases, sometimes significantly. And when you've been driving at highway speeds for a certain amount of time, it becomes difficult to adjust to a lower speed. For that reason, highway exits and service roads are popular spots for the enforcement of speed limits. These signs indicate the maximum speed limit in the zone you're approaching. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching.